The mother cat was dying. Anyone could see that. Ribs like broken fence posts, formatted with blood and dirt, eyes barely open, but she would not move, would not leave the 5 tiny kittens pressed against her body in the corner of the abandoned bunker. When the soldiers found her, she tried to hiss, tried to protect her babies one last time. She had no strength left, just instinct, just love. The soldiers had orders to clear the bunker and move on. They had a mission, a timeline, rules about not interfering with local animals. But one soldier, Staff Sergeant Eric Dalton, looked at that dying mother and those helpless kittens and made a choice that would haunt him for 12 days. A choice between duty and compassion, between following orders and doing what felt human. What happened next will destroy you. What happened on day 12 will break your heart in ways you cannot imagine. Subscribe right now because this story needs to reach everyone. Comment what city and country you are watching from. Hit that like button because what you are about to hear proves that love has no limits and sacrifice has no boundaries. This is the story of Mama, the mother cat who gave everything, and the soldiers who fought to save what she died protecting. Mosul, Iraq, March 2017. The city was in ruins. Buildings collapsed, streets destroyed. Years of war had turned Mosul into a graveyard. Dalton's unit was clearing buildings, looking for explosives, looking for enemy positions, looking for anything that could threaten advancing troops. It was dangerous work, slow work. Every room could be booby-trapped. Every pile of rubble could hide a device meant to kill. Dalton was 32 years old. From Austin, Texas, this was his 4th deployment. He was tired, ready to go home, ready to stop seeing death everywhere he looked. March 16th. Dalton's squad was clearing an abandoned residential block. Most buildings were completely destroyed, just walls and rubble. But one structure remained partially intact, an underground bunker, probably built as a shelter during the fighting. The entrance was hidden under debris. Dalton's team almost missed it, but Private Lucas Harper saw the opening, a gap in the rubble barely wide enough to crawl through. Dalton said, "Check it." Harper crawled in. His voice came back through the radio, said, "Sergeant, you need to see this." Dalton crawled through the gap. The bunker was small, maybe 10 feet by 10 feet. Concrete walls. No light except what came through the entrance. It smelled like death, like something had been rotting for days. Dalton turned on his flashlight, scanned the space. That is when he saw her, a cat, orange and white, lying in the corner, barely breathing. And around her, 5 tiny kittens, maybe 2 weeks old, eyes barely open, crying weakly. The mother cat looked at Dalton, tried to lift her head, could not, just stared with eyes that said, "Please, please help them. Please do not let them die." Dalton knelt down. The smell was overwhelming. The mother cat had open wounds, infected, probably from shrapnel or debris. She had been down here for days, maybe a week, starving, dying, but still protecting her babies, still keeping them warm, still refusing to give up. Harper crawled in behind Dalton, said, "Oh man, is she alive?" Dalton said, "Barely." Harper said, "What do we do?" Dalton knew what they were supposed to do. Nothing. Leave them. Animals were not their responsibility. They had orders, a mission, no time for distractions. But looking at that mother cat, looking at those kittens who would die without her, Dalton could not walk away. He said, "We take them." Harper said, "Sarge, we cannot. You know the rules." Dalton said, "I do not care about the rules. We are taking them." Dalton carefully picked up the mother cat. She was so light, just bones and fur. She did not resist, did not have the strength. He placed her gently in his pack. Then he gathered the kittens, 5 of them, tiny, fragile. He wrapped them in a piece of fabric from his gear, placed them with their mother. The mother cat made a sound, soft, almost like relief, like she understood someone was finally helping. Dalton crawled back out. Harper followed. The rest of the squad stared. Corporal Jennifer Moss said, "Sergeant, what are you doing?" Dalton said, "I am saving them." Moss said, "Command is not going to like this." Dalton said, "Then they can court-martial me. I do not care." They finished clearing the area, returned to base, Dalton went straight to the medical tent. The medic, Specialist Robert Cruz, was treating a soldier with a minor injury. Dalton said, "I need help." Cruz looked at him, said, "Are you hurt?" Dalton opened his pack, showed him the mother cat and kittens. Cruz stared, said, "Sergeant, I treat people, not animals." Dalton said, "She is dying. Her kittens will die without her. Please." Cruz looked at the mother cat, looked at the kittens, sighed, said, "Put her on the table." Cruz examined the mother cat. His face got darker with every second. He said, "She has multiple infected wounds, severe malnutrition, dehydration, internal injuries possibly. Honestly, Sergeant, she should already be dead. The only reason she is alive is pure will. She's been keeping herself alive for them." He pointed at the kittens. Dalton said, "Can you save her?" Cruz said, "I do not know. I do not have the right equipment, the right medicine. I am not a veterinarian, but I will try. No promises." Cruz cleaned the mother cat's wounds, gave her antibiotics from the medical supplies, gave her fluids through an injection. The mother cat did not fight, just lay there, letting him work, like she knew he was trying to help. When Cruz finished, he said, "That is all I can do. She needs rest, food, water, and honestly, she needs a miracle. Keep her warm. Keep the kittens with her. Try to get her to eat. If she makes it through the night, she might have a chance." Dalton said, "Thank you." Cruz said, "Do not thank me yet. She might not make it." Dalton set up a box in his quarters, made it as comfortable as possible, placed the mother cat inside with her kittens. The kittens immediately pressed against her, started trying to nurse. The mother cat let them, even though she was dying, even though every movement must have hurt. She let her babies feed. Dalton sat there watching, feeling something crack inside his chest. This cat was dying, but she was still being a mother, still putting her kittens first, still giving everything she had left. Day 1, the mother cat would not eat, would not drink, just lay there, breathing shallow. Her kittens nursed constantly. Dalton tried everything, tried different foods, tried water, tried milk. She refused everything, just kept her eyes on her kittens, making sure they were okay, making sure they were alive. Dalton barely slept that night, kept checking on her every hour, making sure she was still breathing. She was, barely, but she was. Day 2. The mother cat was weaker, her breathing was labored. Dalton could see her ribs moving with each breath. The kittens were getting hungrier, more desperate. The mother cat was running out of milk, running out of life. Dalton knew what was happening. She was dying, slowly, right in front of him, and there was nothing he could do except watch. He sat with her, talked to her, said, "You did good, Mama. You kept them alive. You can rest now. I will take care of them. I promise." The mother cat looked at him, blinked slowly, like she understood, like she was trying to believe him. Day 3. Dalton had to go back out, on patrol. He left the mother cat and kittens with Moss, told her to check on them every hour. Moss agreed. When Dalton returned 8 hours later, Moss met him at the door. Her face was grim. She said, "Sarge, I think she is gone." Dalton ran to his quarters, looked in the box. The mother cat was completely still, not breathing. He reached in, touched her. She was cold. His heart broke. He had failed. He could not save her. Then one of the kittens mewed, a tiny sound. Dalton looked down. All 5 kittens were alive, moving, crying for their mother who would never answer again. Dalton picked up the mother cat's body. She weighed almost nothing, just skin and bones. She had given everything to her kittens, every ounce of strength, every moment of life. She had kept herself alive long enough for someone to find them, long enough to know they might be saved. Then she let go. Dalton buried her outside the base, in a spot with some green, some life. He marked it with stones, said a few words, felt ridiculous, felt broken, felt like he should have done more. Now he had 5 orphan kittens, 2 weeks old, eyes barely open, completely dependent. They needed milk every 2 hours. They needed warmth. They needed care. Dalton had no idea how to do this. He researched, asked Cruz for advice. Cruz said, You need kitten formula, bottles, heating pads, and a lot of luck. Most orphaned kittens this young do not survive, especially in these conditions, Dalton said. I made a promise to their mother. I am keeping it, Cruz said. Then you better get to work, because they will be dead in 24 hours without proper care. Dalton found supplies, traded with other soldiers, bought things online, and had them shipped. Got kitten formula, tiny bottles, a heating pad. He set up a feeding schedule every 2 hours, day and night. He barely slept, would wake up, feed the kittens, make sure they were warm, make sure they were alive, then try to sleep for 90 minutes before doing it again. His squad helped. Moss took shifts. Harper took shifts. Even Cruz helped. They all felt responsible. They all wanted Mama's sacrifice to mean something. Day 7. 3 kittens were thriving, getting stronger, more active. 2 were struggling, smaller, weaker, not eating as much. Dalton focused on those 2, spent extra time, extra care. By day 8, one of the weak kittens rallied, started eating better, started moving more. The other got weaker. Dalton knew what was coming. He had seen it before. Not every life can be saved. Not every story has a happy ending. On day 9, the smallest kitten died. Dalton held it, this tiny creature that never had a chance. He buried it next to Mama, said, "She is waiting for you. You are together now." 4 kittens remained. Dalton named them Hope, Chance, Lucky, and Shadow, because Shadow was the one who almost died but came back. These 4 kittens became the focus of the entire unit. Soldiers would stop by, check on them, hold them, feed them. These kittens represented something good in a place full of bad, something innocent in a place full of violence, something worth protecting in a place where everything was falling apart. And they all knew it was because of Mama, because she refused to give up, because she fought until someone found them, because she believed. Day 10. The kittens were doing well, eyes fully open, starting to move around, starting to play. They looked healthy, strong. Dalton felt cautiously hopeful. Maybe they would make it. Maybe Mama's sacrifice would not be in vain. Then day 11 came. Shadow stopped eating, started breathing weird, shallow and fast. Dalton panicked, took Shadow to Cruz. Cruz examined him, said, "He has an infection, respiratory probably. Without proper veterinary care, he might not make it." Dalton said, "What can we do?" Cruz said, "I can give him antibiotics, but it might not be enough. He is still very young, very vulnerable. Just watch him, keep him warm, hope for the best." Day 12. Shadow was worse, barely moving, barely breathing. The other 3 kittens were healthy, playful, but Shadow was dying. Dalton held him, this tiny kitten who fought so hard, who survived when he should not have, who represented everything Mama fought for. Dalton was not religious, but he prayed to whoever might be listening, prayed that this kitten would live, that Mama's sacrifice would not be wasted, that something good would come from all this pain. Shadow died in Dalton's hands at 1400 hours on day 12. Just stopped breathing, went still. Dalton sat there holding this tiny body, feeling like he failed Mama, failed Shadow, failed everyone. Moss found him like that, sitting on his bunk, holding a dead kitten, crying. She sat next to him, did not say anything, just sat there. After a while, Dalton said, "I could not save him." Moss said, "You saved 3. That is 3 more than would have survived without you." Dalton said, "Mama saved 5. I only kept 3 alive." Moss said, "Mama got them to you. You got them this far. That is enough." Dalton buried Shadow next to Mama and the other kitten. 3 graves now, a mother and 2 babies who did not make it. But 3 kittens were still alive. Hope, Chance, Lucky. They were getting bigger every day, stronger, more independent. They would survive. They would grow up. They would live because Mama refused to die until someone found them. Because Dalton refused to walk away. Because sometimes doing the right thing means breaking the rules. Day 20. The 3 remaining kittens were thriving, no longer needed constant feeding, starting to eat solid food, starting to act like cats instead of helpless babies. Dalton's deployment was ending in 6 weeks. He had to figure out what to do with them. He could not leave them in Iraq, could not abandon them after everything. He started researching, found organizations that helped soldiers bring animals home. It was expensive, complicated, required months of paperwork, but it was possible. Dalton filled out forms, paid fees, coordinated with animal rescue groups. His squad helped. Everyone contributed. Money. Everyone wanted those kittens to make it home. They represented something bigger than themselves. They were proof that even in war, compassion still existed, that even in the worst places, good things could happen, that Mama's sacrifice meant something. May 2017, Dalton's deployment ended. The 3 kittens flew back to the United States. Dalton picked them up in Texas. They remembered him, ran to him, purred, rubbed against him. He brought them to his apartment, set them up, watched them explore their new home, safe, fed, loved. Everything Mama wanted for them but never got to see. Dalton kept hope. She was the biggest, the strongest, the fighter. Moss adopted Chance. Harper adopted Lucky. The squad stayed in touch, shared photos, updates. Watched these kittens grow into healthy adult cats. But they never forgot Mama. Never forgot the dying mother cat who refused to give up, who kept herself alive through pure will, who sacrificed everything so her babies might survive. Dalton went back to Mosul in 2019, not military, civilian, working with a reconstruction organization. He visited the bunker where he found Mama. It was still there, still empty, still dark. He visited the graves outside the old base. The area was being rebuilt. His markers were gone, but he knew where they were. He said, "Thank you. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for fighting. Your babies are safe. They are loved. You did it. You saved them." Now, in 2024, Hope is 7 years old, living in Austin with Dalton. She is healthy, happy, spoiled. She does not remember the bunker, does not remember being hungry or cold or scared, does not remember her mother, but Dalton remembers. He tells people Mama's story, shows them photos of the 3 graves, shows them photos of Hope as a kitten, explains what it took to save them, what Mama gave to keep them alive. People ask Dalton why he risked so much for cats, why he broke rules, why he spent thousands of dollars, why he cared. He says, because Mama cared. She was dying, in agony, starving, but she would not leave her kittens, would not give up. That kind of love deserves to be honored. That kind of sacrifice deserves to be rewarded. I could not save her, but I could save what she died protecting. That had to be enough. Moss still has Chance. Harper still has Lucky. The 3 cats do not know each other, live in different states, different lives, but they are all alive because their mother refused to die until someone found them, because one soldier refused to follow orders that felt wrong, because sometimes the right thing is not the legal thing. Sometimes compassion matters more than rules. Sometimes love is worth more than obedience. Day 12 broke Dalton's heart, watching Shadow die, holding that tiny body, feeling like he failed. But looking back, Day 12 taught him something. You cannot save everyone. You cannot prevent all death. You cannot fix everything no matter how hard you try. But you can try. You can fight. You can refuse to walk away even when it is easier, even when it is safer, even when no one would blame you for leaving. Mama tried. She fought. She refused to give up. And because of that, 3 of her babies survived. 3 lives that would not exist without her sacrifice. 3 cats living safe, comfortable lives because their mother loved them enough to die for them. Was it worth it? The sleepless nights, the money, the risk, the heartbreak of losing to kittens, the guilt of not being able to save them all. Dalton thinks about this often. Looks at Hope sleeping on his couch, healthy, content, alive. He thinks about Mama, about finding her in that bunker, about the look in her eyes that said please, about the promise he made. He kept that promise, not perfectly. He lost 2, but he saved 3. And maybe that is enough. Maybe that is all anyone can do. Try, fight, refuse to give up. Honor the sacrifices made by those who cannot fight anymore. Mama gave everything. Dalton gave what he could. Together, they saved 3 lives, 3 miracles, 3 reasons to believe that love is stronger than death, that sacrifice is never wasted, that even in the darkest places, hope survives. You tell me if that was worth it.